This is insane. Wow. My God. Yeah. I guess I can get used to this. Oh, I gotta charge it. Oh. Ah, I was imagining what it'd be like to live in Los Angeles. Ah, I guess it's only in virtual reality I can imagine that. And just like the Rams season, it is beyond reality on just how lucky they are, how good they are, and how sad that a great player in the NFL retired. Hey everybody, I'm Cortez, and I'm a critic. Let's talk about the Los Angeles Rams. All right. I know. I don't have an updated Ram hat. I got it. I will try better next time, but until then, retro is in, and so am I. The Los Angeles Rams, when the season started, um, there were talks that maybe Baker Mayfield would stay with the Rams because he had that one good game, and then he was there. And Stafford, when you hear a quarterback and hear the word back injury, where he already has stats, probably a Hall of Fame, and a Super Bowl, you just can't help but feel like, what is more for Matthew Stafford to prove, really? Um, Sometimes I feel like quarterbacks have an addiction, and it's to throw a touchdown pass and win games and go. I don't know. So initially, I had them 8 and 9. I thought they were on the way of just just go away. Just they start to deteriorate, and eventually, coaches will leave, players will retire, and eventually the Rams will go back to being. Remember that year where we literally banked everything just to win the Super Bowl? You guys won a ring, congratulations, but it's just like, and now we must pay the debt we made with the devil and rebuild for the next decade. But you found a gem. Hell, you found an infinity stone the way you picked in this year's draft win receiver, which we'll get to him later because you already know where I'm going with it. But you guys went from a potential 89 record to a 10-7, got into the playoffs, had that epic matchup between, Stafford and Detroit, and hindsight's 2020 because I wanted Detroit to, win a playoff game for it. But there was a small part of my thinking, if the Rams beat the Lions, the Rams come to Tampa. Interesting. That could be fun. And who knows, maybe we won 2 playoff games on the way to getting our butts kicked by San Francisco in the end. Unless Green Bay, in this parallel universe, Green Bay actually beat San Francisco. That means Green Bay will come to Tampa, and it'll be Tampa Bay versus Green Bay. Huh. Multiverse is amazing. But you guys went to the playoffs. You lost by 1. Heartbreak. And Aaron Donald calls it a career. That man is hard to see his physique, his athleticism, and thinking. That's a guy that is in the middle of defensive linemen with a bunch of 300-pound bodies. And 9 times out of 10, his position today is more of a grab grass, make a pile, stuff the run, and that's it. Aaron Donald, what he does as a defensive tackle is what pass rushers in college that are probably going to be drafted this weekend go through. Just that edge of sacking quarterbacks as fast. The TJ Watts, the Micah Parsons, the Von Millers, those are today's sackers. Outside linebacker hybrid that are 260, but they can run as fast as a Ferrari. That's today's sackers. But Aaron Donald did it by doing the hard way, going through 2 or 3 blockers and then using their arm like a club and knocking quarterbacks down. I'm glad he got a ring. I'm glad he's ending his career where he's still healthy and he still played at a high level. And it's funny because I remember he got drafted out of Pittsburgh. Who would have thought a player being drafted out of Pittsburgh being that Hall of Fame caliber player? It's amazing what sports can offer, and it's amazing what you can get out of colleges, and not just looking at the surface level of position and what school they went to. It's an amazing thing we live in today in sports. Enough philosophy. Let's talk about your best game. The Rams' best game to me is Week 16 versus New Orleans. New Orleans, a lot of time in the video, man, I'm just bashing New Orleans. I notice that a lot. But this one, the Rams got early, got hot, and they did kind of, fill off at the end where the Saints made a comeback and made it look like the game was a lot closer. But the Rams had this game locked from the get-go. To me, I feel like it's the best game for the Rams because during the early part of the season, the Rams never really, in my humble opinion, really felt like they had control. Before the bye week, they only had 3 wins. They were 3-6, and I feel like a lot of us were thinking, well, that's the end of the Rams. Good luck, goodbye, and good luck. Pretty much, we were already, sending the goodbye card. Thank you for the season. See you next year, or maybe not. So we were thinking that for the Rams. But then after the bye week, they beat Seattle by 1 point. Then they beat Arizona, then Cleveland, and then Baltimore. We'll get to that next. And then you guys end the season with a 7-1 record. I don't know what happened in the offseason. Happened to the bye week. But I guess somebody found a sensu bean or something. Or made a deal with some who-like fellows. I don't know. But you guys made a comeback. You guys proved well. And I think we're all happy for it. That are Rams fans. Everyone else are like, no, I don't want them back. So your best game was clearly the game against New Orleans because it was in between that part toward the last quarter of the year when there was no certainty of how you guys would make the playoffs. There was a lot of teams fighting. Seattle was one of them. Green Bay was one of them for that last playoff spot. And New Orleans was probably the last team left because there was a good chance that San Francisco was going to wrestle play, which they did. And the Giants are the Giants. So the question was, we needed to beat New Orleans because New Orleans was also fighting for a playoff spot. The thing is that they were trying to fight for a division title, and they got incredibly close to doing it. So you beating the Saints, it's just that the scoreboard reads, we won by 8. But really, you guys had the full control, and for some reason, you guys didn't just squeeze the rest of the life of the Saints and put another 4 and put a 40 burger on them and just made it look like it was no doubt. But best game, crunch time, desperate opponent, SU, and you came up top and you proved worthy. Best game for you easily. Your worst game, which probably is kind of makes sense, Week 9 versus Green Bay. Now, I can see the Baltimore game potentially being the worst game, but it was a high scoring affair. He had a punt return touchdown overtime. It's gonna be hard to call the worst game unless if this was a game where like the kicker, botched the snap and then he falls in the end zone for a safety. Then that would kind of be a bad game. But that's still one play dictating the rest of the game, so I can't really do that. But the Green Bay game, because one, the score was 20-3. You officially became 3-6 at that time, and you hit the bye week. And I think people were thinking, how long can the Rams stay at the bye week for the rest of the year? Being blown out by that in the NFL and the way the season was going, it just felt like, well, this is not the most appropriate way, because that means you gotta hold on to that 17-point loss for 2 weeks. Sometime that could, demoralize a team to the point where it's just like a rock in the shoe that you can never get out, just bugging you for the rest of the time. I don't know how the Rams were feeling. Taking the whole one game at a time approach can only get you so far. But to me, the Rams, found a way back, but that 20-3 really was like, wow. It's like watching a boxing match, and just before the round end, the opponent gets one clean hook, just bam, and it connected. Now the fighter didn't fall to the ground, but he went to a knee. He went to the knee. Lucky the bell rung, because if not, he probably would have been pulverized to the ground. So perfect timing for the bye for them. But man, that was a massive blow to a team, and that's why it's their worst game of the year for them. Also, Rippling was playing. So it wasn't like it was completely on the shoulders of Stafford and company, but it was clearly the worst game for them because it was a whole team demoralized moment. So, who is our MVP? I think it's kind of obvious who your MVP is, and that would be Puka Nacua, wide receiver. If you need to really need me to explain why he is the MVP, then I guess you weren't paying attention, because everyone was knowing about this guy, even though he was not. Even if you weren't a Rams fan, he was being talked about everywhere. I mean, this was a rookie. 5th round, the 177th pick. Doing numbers that when you hear that, you're thinking, oh, he must have been the top 10 pick then, right? He got to be a first rounder easily, right? No, and that's what makes the NFL so beautiful, is you see players like this. Now, I can be an incredible cynic and say, what can he do next year? What can he do the next year now that everyone knows how good he is? I could be that asshole. But this is about this is about last year. And last year, Puka showed just a lightning in a bottle, and the Rams, same with Cooper Kupp, if you will, got another great wide receiver that no one really looked as hard as maybe others did. And the question would be, to me, would be quarterback, because Stafford is reaching age and injury. So, but whoever becomes the future quarterback of the Rams just got themselves a potential dynamic duo for the Rams' future. So, congratulations to the Rams, and congratulations to Puka Nacua. Great name to pronounce in public. Grade for the Rams, an A. You started 3-6 halfway through the season. You ran off to a complete win. I mean, I guess the Baltimore game probably eliminated from going completely alt. The playoff loss did hurt, but like I said, I don't count playoff games. To me, you guys get an A, because honestly, you guys could have just said after the bye, that's it, I'm done, I'm out. Season's lost. Guys, I'm retiring after the end of the season. Stafford could say the same thing. The head coaches, McVay, could say the same thing. I'm out, guys. I'm out. I'm retiring in this. I got a broadcasting gig. I got a family. They could just, hell, all 3 of the captains could just be like, we're out, and literally just start the reboot by the bye week. But they stayed. They fought. They rejuvenated their careers. Still don't know how much longer the remaining 2 will be for the Rams, but I do feel like it's gonna come time for the Rams to eventually reboot their franchise, rebuild, especially with Seattle and San Francisco and Arizona getting potentially to make pieces to make their team still be strong, and pieces to make their teams competitive, like Arizona with a receiver, and Seattle, I don't know, maybe a pass rusher, I don't know, top of my head. So maybe it's time to strongly consider in this year's draft to start planting the seed, maybe get a quarterback. There's a lot of them, and who knows if they'll be available when the time comes. And are you willing to pick a quarterback in the first round when you already have one? That's always a tricky one. But that's what I think about the Rams, and what they get. So we're to conclude the NFC West by talking about the defending NFC champion, the San Francisco 49ers, and another Super Bowl trip and another loss. I remember when they were 5-0 and undefeated in Super Bowls, and now they've been to 3, and they're winless in them. Talk about a legacy looking a little tarnished. So until next time, I'm Cortez, and I'm a critic. Thank you very much for watching.